Our bike tour starts at 9 a.m. at the waterfront in Cape Town. This is Melanie, who's going to be our tour guide for today. Helmets are mandatory in Cape Town, so we're all going to wear one. Today is Human Rights Day, which is a public holiday in South Africa. Therefore, the streets are going to be relatively empty. We're passing a flower shop that's 150 years old. Now we're entering Company Gardens. As you can see, the quality of street music in Cape Town is extremely high, and I'm sure we're gonna see more street musicians later on. In front of us we can see the townhouse with the president's office, and on the left hand side we can see the parliament that was burnt down 2 years ago. There are thousands of squirrels in this park. They got brought here by the English during colonial times, just like any other plant in this park. For example, these oak trees were planted to make barrels for the wine farms. Nowadays it seems like a nice place to hang out to get some nature in the city. This is a little albino squirrel. Now we're passing the High Court. Apparently here during apartheid they used a skin tone pellet to see if people were guilty of being outside at a certain time and place. This piece of the Berlin Wall was given to Nelson Mandela after a state visit to Berlin. Apartheid in South Africa ended just after the Berlin Wall in Germany fell. Nowadays it stands for unity and democracy. We're heading to Green Market Square, which is also referred to as the heart of Cape Town. Here you can buy all kinds of African jewelry, art, clothing or souvenirs to take home. I filmed a couple of my favorite stands here so you can get an impression of what they sell here. The owner of this shop explains that these masks used to serve as passports to get from one African country to the other. Every tribe has a different mask. Here you can see some art made out of ostrich eggs. They're as big as 24 chicken eggs. Now we're cycling through Bree Street, which is very quiet today, but I made a video there at nighttime and I'm gonna link it in the description. Una samosa. Now we're heading to Boo-kaap, the famous Cape Malay area of Cape Town with the colorful houses in the heart of Cape Town. We're locking our bikes here because we want to walk through the streets a bit, and we also want to go to a restaurant and a few shops. For the authentic Boo-kaap experience, we're heading to Faisa's kitchen. To get there we go through the pink building and climb up all the stairs. It's the first purple house on the left hand side. Here we want to try all the authentic food, for example kusisters, samosas and chili bites, so we're gonna get one of each. Hello!
Was ist das hier?
Das ist der Dalchi.
Samosa Samosa.
In the 18th century, these houses were leased by Malaysian slaves and they all had to be white. When this rule was lifted and the slaves became able to buy their houses, they painted them in the brightest colors as a metaphor of freedom. This art gallery looks really nice from the outside, so let's check out what's inside. There's a lot of nice paintings of African animals like elephants, zebras and wildcats. This shop belongs to a recycling artist. Look at this huge elephant that's next to me. It's entirely made out of Nespresso coffee capsules. This definitely got me interested, so let's go inside the shop and see what else they have. This artist made so many creative things with rubbish. Look at this handbag, for example. Isn't this cool? He even made some little instruments with it. This is some typical township art. The other German tourists bought one of these. Believe it or not, this money is real. The neighboring country of South Africa, Zimbabwe, had a heavy inflation and you could only buy a loaf of bread with this. As much as we enjoyed Boo-kaap, now it's time to leave and explore more areas of Cape Town. Here we're crossing a street in the middle of the city center called Strand, and Strand is Afrikaans and means beach. So why is the street in the middle of the city center called Beach Street? This in fact really used to be the beach. All the land behind this was later added artificially. Now we're cycling through Greenpoint Park and the paths are very bike friendly. Here we're passing the oldest lighthouse of Cape Town, and this is one of many playgrounds that got only built during the World Cup. Now we arrived at Mule Point. From here we can really nicely see Sea Point. We saw at least 10 people who jumped from the mountain to do paragliding, and we also saw a couple of speedboats. Welcome to Sea Point. Starts there. We are heading to the waterfront now. There's a nice breeze here and we can look at the sailing boats. And we spotted some seals. Do you see how much bigger the male is than the females? And here we finally see the famous Table Mountain, which has its name because it's flat on top like a table, and when a cloud sits on top of it, it looks like it's tablecloth. Oh no, one of our bikes broke down. Fortunately, Melanie brought all the tools to fix it. Now we can keep going. Here we see statues of the 4 South African Nobel Peace Prize laureates: Albert Luthuli, Desmond Tutu, F.W. de Klerk and Nelson Mandela. If you go to the waterfront, the street music will always be good. The musicians have to audition and only the best ones are allowed to play here. Now, 5 hours later, we finally made it back.
Danke für die Tour. Thank you.
Zum Kaffee einladen?
So you cut in.
So now we're coming to the big question. Is it safe to explore Cape Town by bike? As you might have noticed in this video, there was a lot of police and security everywhere. This is the route that we took and it's generally safe at daytime, and most streets have security or police. Of course, there's more areas in Cape Town where it's safe to cycle, but you should always do your research first and ideally you should be in a group. However, I would never just follow Google Maps, and there are some suburbs that are quite dangerous if you're not familiar with the area. I can definitely recommend doing the tour with AWOL, and this video is not sponsored because I only have about 20 followers, but let's change that. Thanks for watching, bye!